Check this out. For those of you who have been wondering what's going on with Art of Man, why haven't we seen any new drops, any new items? I'm gonna be honest with you. The end of last year, the beginning of this year, I almost just dropped the whole thing, like just closed it down. Business is one of those really difficult things to jump into. Um, and I jumped into it very positively after the pandemic in 2020, and we had some significant success. I started to get my footings because I started in October of 2020, and I started to get my footings in learning more about e-commerce. But also then I decided to diversify our earning potential by going into the mall. So I set up a mall cart, and we saw some success with that. We had some very nice numbers early on. We had some very nice numbers for those first couple of months, but we had a learning phase that we had to go through of understanding the flow of patterns in that portion of distribution in the mall. And the mall is a different beast because it has very high months and it also has very low months. And you have to be able to save and manage your money in a certain way to weather the storm of those low months, which is something we weren't prepared for because we didn't know about it. But we did weather that storm, and we also end up eventually opening up our own store. It was one of those things that I felt was going to be necessary for the brand's growth and for people's image of the brand. When we were at the cart, people were constantly thinking we were like a custom T-shirt stop. Um, so I wanted to show more of the brand by opening the store, and we had some success there. Um, we opened up the chess lounge, which was something very unique, something that you don't actually see really anywhere. They exist, but in combination with a boutique, is something that you don't see often. So we had another peak, and then we shot down again, and then we got hit hard because our location um, was wanted by a long-term leaser. Not to get into the way things go into the mall, but when you have a space and you're a smaller company, you sign just a lease for like a year, but you're you're known as almost like a pop-up, basically. So as long as no other bigger leaser wants your spot for long term, and long term being 10, 20, 30 years, then you're fine. But we got into the situation where there was a long term leaser that wanted our location. So we had to move, and it just wasn't any other location in the mall that was going to make sense. Our money and our reserves were low, so we decided to just close up and just focus online. But that itself was difficult because now we have a little bit of older inventory. We have a customer base that we're trying to satisfy and get in new customers, but getting in those new customers come at a cost because we were running Facebook and Instagram ads. Facebook and Instagram ads have a learning process, but they also come at a cost because you're learning as you're spending. And we got into an issue of overspending on our ads, and specifically ads that didn't work as well as they should. It's not having enough funds to be able to continue the growth and to be able to launch new products as consistent as we wanted to. And without that consistency, it didn't allow us to have enough revenue consistently for things to go in the way that it needed to be and for me to focus on it full time. So now at that same time, managing just like regular life, keeping regular life going and business life going, it just became so much. It just like the brand just took a back seat to the rest of my life. And with that understanding of the brand taking the backseat to the rest of my life, it just started to slip away, and it almost became something that was a burden because now like it still had expenses. I'm still filing taxes. I'm getting some sales in. I'm still filing taxes, taking care of all the licenses, have a storage unit, this, that, and the third, and it came very heavy. But at the same time, um, there were times where I was remaining hopeful because I knew there was something special about what I had been envisioning and what I had created. I think the thing was constantly listening to YouTube videos and listening to some YouTube creators in the clothing space, and then listening to um, more spiritual sermons about what God has us do with these ideas and how we are to be builders. And that brought me back to a book that I had been exposed to years ago, and I ended up rereading it. Start with Why, Simon Sinek. And that really had a profound effect on me. But I always struggled with being able to package the why, because you get asked all the time when you're building something, and people say, what is this? Oh, okay, why do you have this chess symbol on the shirt? Why Art of Man? And being able to say that in almost like a tweet, like 140 character type of situation, um, is beneficial for smaller conversations. You don't want to have to have a 20-minute dissertation to explain, why you're building the thing you're building. But it was always difficult for me because the way that I conceptualize things is so many converging ideas that are coming together to make this thing. Art of Man in particular come from my affinity for clothing, more particularly streetwear and beyond. Um, and also, it comes from um, my upbringing and what I was exposed to um, younger. My father teaching me chess. And then me growing up in New York City and seeing the people and converging with other chess players and what those people look like and how those things are intertwined in their life. It started to take root, all of the seeds that my father was implanting in me through this game. So therefore, I wanted to bring that idea to the public. So like after reading that book, Start with Why, and listening to some sermons, I started to really challenge myself to really narrow down and conceptualize my why, and that started to how do I say, like, drum up more excitement. I started to get excited about the brand again, remembering the why, and then it's like, I like it always seemed like a cross street to me. It always seems like a cross section. Um, it- by all means, when you think about the game chess, you think about intelligence, you think about smart people, you think about people who are building their mind and their capacity. And then when you think about fashion, you think about people who care about how they represent themselves or choose to represent themselves in a certain way. And those two things are at a cross section now in this brand, and it's almost building this new thing. It's this new territory, and now I feel like I understand it. I have my 140 characterish understanding of who I'm going after, who this is for. Because when I started the brand, I thought it was going to be for everybody, and I realized, as much as I want it to be for everybody, I can't start with it being for everybody. It is for a particular person. It is for a person, a fly, ambitious intellectual, someone who understands the power of their mind and chooses to use their mind to advance to their destiny. And all of those ideas are merging together from culture, fashion, in this chess game that teaches and builds your capacity and your mental capacity. Um, but when I go back, that why was really sparked by my experiences with my late father. Now that I'm older, I understand the impact of this game that my father was exposing me to, because now I understand that he was utilizing this game to teach me a set of skills, to develop my mind in its ability to think through an issue, to think through a problem, to advance past opposition. Because when you're playing the game, you're going up against opposition, and in life, we're going up against opposition. So all of these nuggets that you face in the game, you will also face in life in different ways, but you will face a similar concept in life. And that brought me back to the why of why I wanted to put this type of imagery on clothing, why I wanted the pawn silhouetted inside of the king chess piece, why I wanted to use terms like checkmate and critical thinker and chess not checkers, why I wanted to highlight those things on garments and different textiles, because I wanted to make that way of thinking a lifestyle and develop that lifestyle of it. You're totally engulfed in this idea of being a critical thinker, of being a person who can take an issue and think their way through it, take a challenge and think their way through it, work against opposition and still advance towards their goal and get to their checkmate. And after months of like working through things and getting back to designing and coming up with colorways and finding those pieces that were very important that we released and remixing the colors, Art of Man, we're gonna launch our first collection in a while. And really, I'll be honest, like we're starting back from the basics. We are building this business back up from zero. You know, we have a customer base, and if you're one of the Art of Man customers that have bought from us in the past, like we sincerely like appreciate you. Like, the support that we got early on and have gotten through the years, like it's been amazing. um, but in order to continue that growth, we have to keep chugging along. And I think that the stuff that we're going to launch going forward, you're really going to love and latch onto. And, we're just going to really work on the things that we know that we can do well and also expand into some cut and sew pieces. So, like, I'm really excited for what 2025 has to bring for us as a company. The last 5 years have been a roller coaster, but I believe that this mission, this concept, this idea is worth it. And to be honest, this video is just the first among many that I want to release in a series of really diving in deep of what's been happening deep in the past 5 years and also what we plan for the future. Um, because although we may not have the resources to be able to do certain things that we want to do in the future, uh, we're planning for those things anyway. And we're excited to talk about it and we're excited to execute. So, once again, thank you for taking the time to sit down and listen to this story and what's going on with Art of Man. And we're really excited for you to see what's coming out in the future. And once again, I'm Justin Tuggle, and see you on the next video. Thank you.